Senior Hamas officials have said an open-ended agreement has been sealed with Israel to end 7 weeks of fighting in Gaza, describing the ceasefire deal as a victory for the resistance.
Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasooli.
And I'm Nicola Dizoiza. We start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
JVP attacked in Badalkumbura Munaragala. Severe drought devastates locals in Madrigiria. Over 5,000 health workers on strike yet again. Rice prices on the rise, government price ceiling on rice ineffective. And now the news in detail. Several JVP supporters and their officers in the Mondragal district have been attacked. Rajitha Wijetunga, the Newsfirst Election Bureau in Uva, filed this report.
The first of the series of attacks was reported earlier this morning from the Kubukkana area in Mondragala. Within a short time frame, 2 JVP offices in Kumarapura and Hulandava in Mondragala were also attacked.
A group of JVP supporters who were decorating for a rally that was to be held this evening under the auspices of JVP leader Anura Kumar Dissanayake in the Badalkumbura town were attacked shortly after midnight. The JVP says that the attack was carried out by persons who arrived at the location at about 12:30 am in several vehicles. Notably, the attack took place in close proximity to the Badalkumbura police station. Newsfirst's Rajitha Wijetunga, who arrived at the scene shortly after the attack, said the JVP members had fled for their safety. The Newsfirst team came across JVP Monaragala district group leader RM Jayawardena a short while later.
They were driving on the wrong side of the road and attempted to run over our people. Our vehicle sped away. The other vehicle stopped and those inside began attacking our supporters. Our supporters used the flag and whatever they had in their hands to defend themselves. It was they who carried out the shooting. A black Defender jeep came there during the incident. Prior to that, another group arrived there in a car and on several bicycles. A group had gathered even before the incident. It was after the car and the bicycles arrived that they started to attack us. They broke into the premises where they were legitimately holding a rally.
Our reporter notes that the stage where the JVP rally was to be held and the UPFA office in the area are spaced about 100 meters apart. UPFA supporters note that the JVP members had attacked their office.
About 125 persons from the JVP group came here, fired shots in the air to frighten us and then smashed the vehicles. We were inside the office. When we came out to see what the noise was, they were tearing down our flags and attacking the office. The candidate and a group of JVP supporters came to our office and attacked it while we were inside. When we came out to see what the noise was, they were smashing up the 2 vehicles at the office. When we remained inside, they retreated.
Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana notes that several persons, including 2 police officers, were injured in the altercation. The JVP office located on Pragati Mawatha in Singhagiripura Kumbukkana was attacked at about 12:30 am.
A group of thugs came here in 3 Defender jeeps and incinerated a cutout of me. At about 2 am, about 50 thugs broke down the gate and scaled the wall and started shooting at my house, making death threats.
A JVP office located in Kumarapura Monaragala has also been attacked. JVP supporters say the office was attacked at about 3 am. The JVP office in the Hulandava area was attacked at around 3:15 am today.
We
have sent 4 teams to that area. We will conduct an impartial investigation based on the complaints filed by both sides. The police headquarters has requested for an immediate report on the incident. We have instructed that additional roadblocks be in place in this area. More officers will be dispatched. They will be located at these additional roadblocks to prevent such nighttime movements. This clearly depicts the violent nature of persons who think they are above the law in a backdrop where the law is being implemented. A violent nature has been created in society. That is why, at certain occasions, illegal propaganda officers are being set up. Decorations are made in an illegal manner. Once damages are caused, people term the structure as an office. Sometimes there may be incidents of violation of election laws. We expect the support of all parties in this regard.
සියලු පාර්ශ්වකරුවන්ගේ සහාය අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා.
Opposition political parties charge that election activities are not being conducted fairly in the Mondragala district. Let's take a look at what opposition representatives had to say on the matter.
A serious terror situation has been created in the Mondragala district to prevent opposition political parties from conducting their election campaigns. There is no law here. The police officers are unable to uphold the law. Election officers are unable to uphold the law. They are working towards an unusual form of rule with no rules and regulations whatsoever. According to the information we have, the government is preparing for a hasty presidential election. If the government is hastily going for a presidential election, the Uva Provincial Council poll could be the final election before then. They kept batting and batting. They were hoping to hit the final 6 in the Uva province. But that is not what had happened. The government started losing wickets in the western and southern provinces. There are signs that this has now become the election where they will lose wickets instead of scoring this final 6. Because of their fear, they are using various schemes, violating laws and creating a sense of terror to somehow win the Uva election. The government has chosen the Mondragala district for this purpose because Badula is disadvantageous to them. Since they cannot win the provincial council from Badula, they are trying to win by stealing votes in Mondragala.
There are illegal cutouts, posters and banners all over the Mondragala district today. It is disappointing to see that in some places there are illegal campaign officers right across from the police station. The police are deaf and blind to this. We have heard that orders came from high up in the police not to remove the cutouts of a certain authority figure in Uva. Orders have been given to not remove propaganda with his number on it. Not only that, they are forcefully pasting stickers on private buses and public transport in the Mondragala district. They are putting up posters, but the police are not taking any action. We ask whether this is their idea of a free and fair election in Uva. What type of democracy is this?
A campaign office in Bibila which was attacked was an unauthorized office that was being properly maintained. They have also attacked a number of campaign offices on the same night which belonged to the Janata Vimukti Perumuna and the United National Party. Some of those officers were not registered officers. We know that the police will not take any steps regarding this. I saw our elections commissioner, who is only a scarecrow, saying that all parties are violating these laws. It is his habit.
දේශපාලන නීති කඩාකප්පල් කිරීම සියලුම පක්ෂ කරනවා කියලා. මේ මිනිහා මං හිතන්නේ අමු කාලේ ඉන්නවා වගේ අපිට තේරෙන්නේ.
අරක් විදියන්නේ ඒකේ මිනිස්සු නාන්නෙත් ඒකෙන් තමයි. අරක් මාලා ඉවරන පස්සේ අපි නාන්නේ.
This is just one of the experiences that the people of the village of Bediavala in Madirigiri are being made to face at present. For about 3 years now, these people have been blighted by drought.
Bandiavala was established under the village gardening scheme in 1968 on 224 acres of land gifted by Mr. C.P. De Silva. About 800 people from 150 families live here. While Bandiavala is one of the most rural villages in the Madirigiri administrative division, the villagers rely on agriculture for their livelihood. These people have been affected by a 3-year-long drought and are now facing not only a drinking water shortage but also a never-ending struggle to survive.
There has been no water for 3 years. There is no waterway bringing water from their reservoir. We cultivate chenas with rainwater, and for 3 years now there has been no rain. We haven't had a grain of rice at home since 2011. We skip meals. Bowsers used to come twice a day, but that too has stopped.
This tank, which has a 1,000 litre capacity, has received this much water after a lapse of 10 days. The villagers note that a drinking water scheme has never been introduced for the village since the day it was established. The people note that although they participated in road reconstruction work in the recent past as part of the conditions for receiving drought relief, they have not received that money yet either.
We worked on the road for 3 days. We haven't received the money yet.
These villagers spend their days hoping that they will receive at least a drop of water tomorrow.
The government thinks that there was heavy rainfall here. Nothing came of those rains. We are leading a very hard life.
We expect the government to give us water and dry rations every 5 or 6 days. How are we to give our children sustenance? Newsfirst correspondents have been dispatched to the areas worst affected by the drought to report on the plight of the people living in those areas. We are now joined by Newsfirst's Sangeet Kalubovila, who is in Madirigiriya.
We are here now in the village called Nikahena, a remote village in the district of Polonnaruwa. There are about 42 families living in this village. They say that they experienced a slight rain a few days back, but it was not sufficient for their daily needs according to these villages. Although they are getting water through bowsers, that also not sufficient to their daily routine. However, according to the divisional secretary in Madirigiriya, 31 people, for around 50,000 people in 31 Gram Seva divisions are being now affected in this severe drought condition. The places like Nikahena, Patokwawa, Vadigawawa, those areas are badly affected. They are actually in need of drinking water and water for other purposes. So they are still living with hopes. I'm Sangeet Kalubovila and Asela Dharmavansha from Nikahena, Polonnaruwa.
While residents of Colombo are caught up in the frenzy of the ice bucket challenge, people of Polonnaruwa continue to suffer from the drought. Share your thoughts on newsfirst.lk.
From the frying pan into the fire, the price of rice in the market has exceeded government-imposed price controls. Retailers lament that the prices have increased as they are sold rice for a higher price by wholesalers.
The government has imposed a maximum retail price of 77 rupees per kilogram of samba and 66 rupees per kilogram of nadu.
Are retailers selling rice in adherence with the price controls? We visited several retailers to find out.
Our reporters witnessed that all rice varieties are being sold at more than 80 rupees per kilogram. There is the retail price and the wholesale price. The government has not stipulated a wholesale price. Shop owners don't have rice to sell at the retail price. Prices are about 80 rupees for white raw rice and red raw rice and about 83 rupees for samba. When we tell people there is no rice, they don't buy other goods. So we sell it thinking it is okay even if we get caught. Our attempts to make inquiries from the Ministry of Internal Trade and Cooperatives regarding the dilemma were unsuccessful. However, on a previous occasion, the Consumer Affairs Authority noted that those violating price controls would be arrested.
The matter of imposing a wholesale price has been brought to the attention of the Honourable Subject Minister Johnston Fernando. That is still being discussed and a decision could be reached in the near future. The government is dancing around on one hand saying they will give a certified price for farmers. On the other hand, they say they will protect the consumer and then they do things like this. I asked what the Consumer Affairs Authority is doing. The authority too has understood the fast that is being acted out by this government and it has come to a state where they cannot conduct a raid. We call on the minister too to come with us to a shop to see what can be done if the maximum retail price is being violated. We must not blame the traders. We must not blame the traders. We should be blaming the policies of this government.
The rice yield over recent harvest declined as a result of non-conductive weather conditions. According to the Finance Ministry, a 16% drop was seen last harvest alone. In the Yalla season, less than 40% of paddy fields were cultivated.
The price of paddy has increased because the harvest yield was very low. When the price of paddy increases, of course the price of rice too will increase. When the people go to the shops today, they find that rice prices are very high. Although the government has imposed price controls, no one is selling at that price and the traders too are facing a crisis. So the traders put up the board showing the control price, but they sell it on the sly. The business community and the consumers are facing a crisis. We believe that if this continues, rice prices could exceed 100 rupees a kilogram.
Foreign media reports that Sri Lankan government has decided to import 50,000 metric tons of rice from Bangladesh for the first time after the independence of the country. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Food Minister of Bangladesh, Kamrul Islam, said that the Sri Lankan government has ordered 100,000 tons of rice from Bangladesh. The minister has added that the sending of remaining 50,000 tons of rice will be decided depending on the harvest in Bangladesh.
Meanwhile, patients at several public hospitals were inconvenienced today as a result of a strike initiated by supplementary medical professionals. This is the second instance on which supplementary medical professionals have resorted to a strike this year, citing 6 demands.
This was the experience of an anguished patient who visited the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital for treatment today. The strike action is underway at all government hospitals across the island, with the exception of a handful, including the Lady Ridgeway Hospital, the Castle Street Hospital and the Cancer Hospital in Maharogama. The Joint Trade Union Council of Professions Supplementary to Medicine notes that close to 5,000 health sector employees, including medical lab technicians, pharmacists, physiotherapists and chiropractors, are engaged in the strike action. The union has put forward 6 demands, including granting promotions in the first and senior grades that were not granted for 8 years, establishing the superior grade and recruiting graduates instead of diploma holders. As a result of close to 300 professionals at the National Hospital joining in the strike action, laboratory services, radiology services and physiotherapy services at the hospital were affected. Medication was not issued to patients visiting the hospital for clinical services and treatment at the OPD. In order to mitigate the inconvenience caused to the patients, steps have been taken to dispense medication from the State Pharmaceutical Corporation and to obtain X-ray and lab services from the private health sector. The strike also affected the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, where 200 supplementary medical professionals have joined in the strike. Radiology and laboratory services were affected, while medication was not dispensed to clinic and OPD patients. Close to 150 supplementary medical professionals at the Mathura General Hospital joined in the strike action.
They didn't inform us that medication won't be provided.
The strike is also in effect at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital, where patients did not receive medication or laboratory services. Patients in kidney disease who are receiving in-house treatment were among the worst affected. Close to 110 supplementary medical professionals at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital too refrained from carrying out daily functions today.
Patients are inconvenienced owing to such strike actions.
Patients are inconvenienced owing to such strike action.
The Joint Trade Union Council of Professions Supplementary to Medicine says that they will continue with the strike action until all their demands are met.
We met with the Health Secretary at the invitation of the Ministry of Health. However, even after these discussions, they have failed to resolve our problems. We have granted cabinet approval for most of the demands. There is only one matter left to resolve. As a trade union, it is wrong for them to think of just themselves.
Let me tell you of a story what's happening elsewhere in the country. Tensions flared at the Southern Provincial Council today when JVP Council Nalin Hewage climbed atop the table at the well of the chamber to voice his protest. Our reporter says the council was adjourned for a short while in order to bring the situation under control.
JVP Councillor Nalin Hewage commenced this protest, citing that the Chief Minister had failed to properly respond to a question posed by him on the taxing of shop owners at the Gaul bus stop. The chair then decided to adjourn the sitting for 15 minutes in order to restore calm.
And up next is the battle for over.
I cannot say that the granting of the fertilizer subsidy is wrong, but they are preparing to sling mud at us. Today the opposition is unable to provide an intelligent response to the programs we are carrying out today in terms of economic policy, foreign policy and the programs we are carrying out as a country in the education sector.
A farm in Veeravilla used to produce the seeds required by farmers was replaced with a motor racing track. Is this okay? Why do you still vote for them? Think about it. They have destroyed agriculture.
It is not only this work that can be done, we can work for anyone using the government's money. We too have our parents' inheritance which allows us to do anything.
It is pointless to tell stories just to secure votes. Which political movement takes to the streets to fight for the downtrodden people? Who makes that commitment? 95% of the protests in Sri Lanka are carried out by us. The president's elder brother's son came and introduced a new concept to build a new Uva Wellassa. You can see how he has done that.
I believe you would have received the brochures detailing all the work we have done from village to village at your homes. Some of them have pictures while some do not. The president told me that my brochure only has the work done by the provincial council and asked why we have not published anything done by the central government. I told him, sir, if we are to include all of that, this brochure would become like the Mahavamsa.
What victories has Uva won? Have the people of Uva won any victories? Have they seen any development? They said they would build the Miracle of Asia at a past election. I do not know if you remember, but they said they would build a self-sustained village and a self-sustained country. But then again, who can remember all of this? It was a minor election.
You know how they introduced committees to build reservoirs and took away that money too. Do not allow any of them to blow wind. I remember recently how they went from house to house and distributed goods, following which many people went to the UNP. They went by return post. I can go from house to house and go canvassing too. I can go from house to house and give containers, bamboo and mammoth blades. Their retail politics has made people sick of politics.
Pushpa Kumara will not go where Soisa does. None of them go where the Chief Minister goes. I challenge them all to come on to one stage without the President being there. They can't do it. The alliance is already compromised because of infighting.
I recently saw an article in the papers penned by a university student. She writes that in another 5 to 6 years, if someone were to capture an aerial image of the country, it would look like a string hopper that someone had made angrily and haphazardly. All the crops will have wilted away and all that would be left would be the roads and expressways built like a haphazardly made string hopper.
We now go for a short commercial break.
You're with News First, coming up on the news tonight.
An Israeli airstrike has destroyed much of one of Gaza's tallest apartment and office buildings, setting off huge explosions and wounding at least 20 people. Join me, Zulfik Farazan, on the Newsfirst International Desk on a comprehensive report on the worst conflict Gaza has ever seen.
Welcome back to the news.
Last night on Primetime News, we commenced seeking the opinions of UNP supporters from across the island on the Leadership Council in Biagama. Tonight, we have the views of UNP activists from Mathura. They point out that future elections cannot be won via a Leadership Council that comprises of outsiders and persons who work towards the deterioration of the party.
UNP activists say that in 1977, J.R. Jayawardena secured a massive 5/6 victory, not with the support of a leadership council, but through the support of a strong deputy leader who was from among the people and who understood the hardships faced by the people.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකත්ව මණ්ඩලයේ ඉන්නේ මේ පක්ෂය විනාශ කරන්න සපමිනි පිටස්තර පිරිසක්.
The UNP Leadership Council comprises of outsiders who came here to destroy the party. These people do not understand the sadness and tears of the UNP supporters. Mangala Samaravira, who destroyed our leader's esteem, image and pride, is in the Leadership Council. And there is also Karujaya Surya, who betrayed the party for 4.5 million and crossed over with 17 others. These are people who have constantly worked towards the destruction of the UNP. Thereby I believe and I plead from our honourable leader to remove these outsiders who have worked to destroy the party and destroy your respect and image. Unite the true UNP supporters who have splintered and scattered, and use your knowledge and your concepts to embark on a new journey under a new vision to rebuild this country. That is my plea to you. The Leadership Council is an entity that is not even mentioned or enshrined in the UNP constitution. The best example to follow to make this party victorious is our late leaders. They did not appoint leadership councils to make the party victorious. The UNP did not win a 5-6 majority in 1977 under a leadership council.
Journalists quizzed UNP MP Ranjit Madhama Bandara at a media briefing convened today on whether the party will reappoint MP Sajid Premadasa as the deputy leader of the UNP.
A working committee meeting has not been called as yet. Talks have been held to unite everyone in the party to ensure that there is harmony in the party. Our constitution used to have a clause for a vote for the position of deputy leader, and Sajid Premadasa was elected to the position of deputy leader. As per the new amendment, the deputy leader is appointed by the leader. I think and I hope that since this is what the people are calling for too, that is democracy in the party, that he will soon be appointed to that position.
කැමැත්ත ප්‍රකාශ කරන එමණි ජනතාවාදී පක්ෂයක වෙන්න ඕනේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා ඉදිරි කාලයේදී ඒ තනතුරටපත් වෙයි.
Two people, including an assistant control of immigration and immigration, have been arrested for aiding a drug dealer going by the name Kudu Chamara fleeing the country. Police say that a jail accused of helping him escape prison has also been arrested. Kudu Chamara was arrested at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katnaik yesterday as he was attempting to leave the country under a fake identity. You're with News First. Up next is a look at Action TV.
කැනීම් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ මේක කැනීම් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ නේ මහත්තයෝ මේ කැනීම් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ හොඳද මගේ මේ ඇඳුම හොඳ නැහැ පුතේ නැත්තම් මම ඔයාලට දෙනවා මේ ඔෆිස් කට මේම හොඳ නැහැනේ.
These views expressed by the Vice Chancellor of the Sri Jayawardenepura University to Action TV in Gommana in Rajagala, Ampara, considered to be one of the oldest Buddhist ashrams in the world, on Saturday challenged the Rajagala Archaeological Conservation Project, which is sponsored by the US State Department. While a sum of $100,000 was granted for this project by the US State Department in 2013, as per the project report compiled by the History and Archaeological Studies Unit of the Sri Jayawardenepura University under the supervision of the Department of Archaeology, work on this project is to be completed in 2017. The project report in question was prepared by 4 professors from the History and Archaeological Studies Unit of the Sri Jayawardenepura University. In the hope that the Vice-Chancellor would be attired in more appropriate clothing as stated by him, Action TV visited the Rajagala Archaeological Conservation Site on Sunday as well. The problem here though has nothing to do with attire. The problem here is that the Vice-Chancellor of the Sri Jayawardenepura University is constructing a reservoir here, while neither anyone connected to the conservation project being carried out with USAID nor the officer in charge attached to the Department of Archaeology are present. While the Vice-Chancellor is a lecturer on geology, is he also knowledgeable on matters of archaeology? Whether he possesses sufficient knowledge of irrigation technology is also a problem. Anyone can say anything they want. That is irrelevant to me. I am here for a special task. The reservoir was built last time as well, but it was washed over. I do not wish to see work undertaken by the Jayawardenepura University being washed over. The Vice-Chancellor, who is a lecturer on geology, was also at one time an invitational lecturer for an information technology course at the Sri Jayawardenepura University. It was the Vice-Chancellor that appointed himself as the invitational lecturer for this course, receiving a payment of 1,500 rupees per hour for each lecture. Tomorrow on Action TV, we take a look at how this procedure has been implemented at the Rajagala Archaeological Conservation Site too.
Meanwhile, a lecture on the new combination US, China and India took place this morning in Colombo. Delivering the lecture, Professor Amit Gupta from the United States Air Force War College pointed out that rivalry between the US and China is not between the Pentagon and the PLA, but between its banks.
The gathering that attended the lecture at the Lakshman Kadirigama Institute for International Relations and Strategic Studies included prominent civil servants and diplomats.
And essentially the Chinese government says, go out, make money, come back home, help us build the country. To date, the Chinese have supported the American conceived world order. You know, the world order which was created after 1945. The UN, the World Bank, the IMF, so on. And they've bankrolled it. I always make the argument that the rivalry between the United States and China is not between the Pentagon and the People's Liberation Army. It's between the Federal Reserve of the United States and the People's Bank of China. Which one of them will be able to create an economic order which the rest of the world sees as being acceptable?
Interesting facts indeed from Professor Amit Gupta from the Department of International Security Studies, USAF War College. Moving on to other local stories now. The inauguration ceremony of the National Information Technology Conference 2014 was held at the BMICH yesterday. The 32nd National Information Technology Conference NITC 2014 ICT for Inclusive Development will be held from August 26th to the 27th in Colombo.
The event saw the participation of several dignitaries, including politicians, software developers, suppliers and ICT industry experts. The chief guest at the event was the Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Sarath Amunugama.
Comprehensively defeated terrorism. That is a rare act because, as you know, in most countries of the world, there have been bitter conflicts, but terrorism has not been completely defeated. But in Sri Lanka, we have achieved that. For 30 years, we could not think of proper growth because our priorities were distorted by the need to pursue this war. Now that war is over and the country is on a growth trajectory. We have been registering broadly 7 to 8% growth, which is very admirable. You know that in the global economy, there has been a downturn in the advanced economies, but the Sri Lankan economy has maintained its growth trajectory. Sri Lanka is one country which has very successfully achieved most of those Millennium Goals.
Coming up on Sports First tonight.
We have all the action from the second ODI between Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Stay with me first. The United States has begun surveillance flights over rebel-controlled parts of Syria after presidential authorization, officials said, a move that could pave the way for air raids against the Islamic State group.
Meanwhile, a high rise in Gaza has been leveled to the ground by Israeli airstrikes. Newsfirst Zulfik Farzan has been closely monitoring the volatile situation in the Middle East and filed this report for the Newsfirst International Desk.
At least 5 Israeli airstrikes have destroyed much of one of Gaza's tallest apartment and office buildings, setting off huge explosions and wounding at least 20 people. Now, Israel had no immediate comment on today's attack. 70 families lived in the building, which also housed officers and a shopping complex. Fatalities were averted by warnings issued to residents to vacate the premises and 2 non-explosive warning missiles fired from drones. 4 missiles fired at the 13-story building made it list to one side. The militant wing of Palestinian Hamas, the Izz el-Din al-Qassam Brigade, released amateur videos said to show an Israeli reconnaissance drone they said they intercepted in the Shajaya neighborhood of the Gaza Strip. Israeli authorities did not immediately comment on the drone or the Hamas claim. Since a truce between Israel and armed factions in Gaza collapsed, the death toll in the Palestinian enclave has steadily risen, with 13 more Palestinians killed in Israeli strikes since Sunday night. The Gaza Religious Affairs Ministry said Israeli fire during the day destroyed 4 more mosques, raising to 71 the number of mosques destroyed over the past 7 weeks. Abdullah Mortaja, a freelance journalist who previously worked for Hamas's Al-Aqsa TV, was among the latest casualties. Medical officials said he was hit by tank fire in the war-battered Shajaya area of eastern Gaza City, raising the Gaza death toll since July 8, start of the campaign, to 2,135, with 10,915 wounded. US President Barack Obama has authorized surveillance flights over Syria, the first step of gathering intelligence on the Islamic State group inside Syria. Now this move could be the first step towards launching airstrikes inside Syria, where the IS fighters are fighting the Assad regime. The White House says Obama has not yet made a decision on whether to take military action inside Syria. The US is already launching airstrikes against Islamic State targets in Iraq. The Reuters news agency had earlier reported that Washington was planning to send surveillance aircraft, including unmanned drones, to gain a clearer picture of the Islamic State fighters who have seized territory in both Syria and Iraq. Kurdish Peshmerga forces positioned their men at key locations in northern Iraq recently taken back from Islamic State. The Sunni IS fighters captured Zumar and nearby oil fields on the 3rd of August when they swept through 3 more towns in northern Iraq and took control of the electricity generating Mosul dam. This has been the IS's first major lighting defeat on Kurdish forces since an initial push through northern Iraq in June.
A solid 4th wicket stand between middle order batsman Mahela Jayawardene and Angelo Matthews saw Sri Lanka cruise to 310 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their allotted 50 overs against the visiting Pakistani side.
After losing the first ODI, Sri Lanka won the toss and decided to take first lease of the wicket. TM Dilshan did not have the start he hoped for, as he was sent back for 13 by Junaid Khan. After steering the horse past the 50-run mark with opener Upul Tharanga, Kumar Sangakkara was dismissed for 11 runs. Upul Tharanga fell 11 runs later for 27, becoming the second victim of Wahab Riaz's bowling. Angelo Matthews then joined Mahela Jayawardene at the crease to add 122 runs for the 4th wicket. Mahela was sent back by Mohammad Hafiz for 67. Mohammad Hafiz then went on to bag the wickets of Sikuge Prasanna and Ashan Priyanjan, both trapped in front for low scores. Angelo Matthews once again lost his wicket in the 90s, this time for 93, off the bowling of Wahab Riaz, falling 7 runs short of that ever-elusive maiden ODI century. Thisara Pereira, who hammered a quick 65 off 36, was run out shortly after steering the Lankans past 300.
Is red hot and he's smiling. Run scored by Sri Lanka. And
for Yunus Khan, who's returned home for death in the leg byes, chipped in the air and picks up another one. 4 more.
This is there. You see the result is a grand one. easily done. Oh, that's blistering drive through.
Chasing 311 runs to win, Pakistan were 202 for the loss of 5 wickets a short while ago. Let me be more precise. 109 runs to win in 76 balls.
The plan was cuts wide. That's his 50. And that's the acknowledgement. Thank you very much.
The 66th Primetime Emmy Awards are done and over.
Like the largely paint-by-numbers ceremony, which offered exactly what you would expect of an Emmy ceremony, the awards were notable largely for how unsurprising they were.
If anything, the lack of surprise may have been the most surprising thing. After 4 seasons and 4 outstanding comedy awards, it felt like something was going to supplant Modern Family. It was the 5th consecutive win in the category for Modern Family.
Modern Family!
Actors Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jim Parsons were repeat Emmy winners, taking the top comedy acting honours and beating newcomer nominees during television's biggest night.
Ty Burrell, Modern Family.
Ty Burrell won the Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy for his role as the hapless father Phil Dunphy on Modern Family, while Alison Janney won the Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy as the ditzy mother on the series Mum.
This is the 6th career Emmy and 2nd Emmy win this. And the Emmy goes to The Colbert Report.
The Colbert Report emerged victorious yet again from the 2-man Emmy race that was only a 1-man race up until last year, taking away the Emmy for Outstanding Variety Series.
It's very interesting. It's unbelievable. I want to see the envelope because I just want to thank Stephen and all his writers for doing such a great job. I mean, you guys are the best. Colbert, you guys are the greatest. And
the Emmy goes to Breaking Bad.
AMC's gritty drug drama Breaking Bad was honoured at the Primetime Emmy Awards as the top drama series on US television for the 2nd consecutive year and picked up 3 top acting awards. Breaking Bad streaked through its final Emmys as Bryan Cranston, who portrays Walter White, won for Best Actor in a Drama, while co-stars Aaron Paul and Anna Gunn each won for their supporting roles. Juliana Margulies won Best Drama Actress for her role as lawyer Alicia Florrick on CBS's The Good Wife.
Anna Gunn.
I'm a dying man who runs a car wash. My right hand to God. That is all that I am.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola Dizoiza.
And I'm Shamir Rasuldin. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and
good night.
Good night.